we all understand how it works, because I will be the first one to tell you that people trying to fix their own credit do not understand how it works, because it doesn't always make common sense. For instance, how many of you all with good credit receive these offers from somebody that say, combine all 4 of your credit cards, take the balances of all 4 of your credit cards and put it onto our no interest, defer your payment for 2 years card, and we're going to help you out. And it sounds like a good deal, right? Somebody nod your head.
Yeah.
Say yes. Give me some kind of response.
Oh, boy, that's a good one.
I don't care if it's an amen or a hallelujah. Give me some kind of response.
Amen.
So, because if I've got 4 credit cards and they each have a balance of $2,000, right? And I'm paying 18% interest on all of those, doesn't it sound like a great idea to take all of those balances, put it on a brand new card at 0%, close out those other 4 cards, and just owe the $8,000 on the one card? It sounds like a great deal, doesn't it?
No,
Absolutely.
but it's probably not.
And you know what? If you're not buying a house or you don't care about your credit score, it is a great deal. But if you care about your credit score and you do that, you take all 4 of those balances, put it on that one card, and close out those other 4. You just probably tanked yourself by 70, 80 points. Okay? Easily. The reason is because the credit bureaus are there to look at your credit utilization and your credit history. And by closing 4 cards that you may have had good payment history on, you're hurting yourself. By opening up a brand new account, you're hurting yourself. The card that you opened up, it's got an $8,000 limit, you just put $8,000 on it, you're hurting yourself. So there's several ways. You guys don't mind if I close this door, do you? There are several ways that you're actually hurting your score, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about today. Let's see if we got that. Okay. So how is the score calculated? How many of y'all have Credit Karma? Or something similar? FreeCreditReport.com, or it's monitored on your MasterCard or your Discover card or something, and you're walking around thinking, I know my credit score, right? Right? And you do, but you don't know your mortgage credit score. That's the problem. There are 5 industries that utilize the credit reporting system. All right? There are, let's see, there's mortgage, which is way over here because it's really strict. There's Credit Karma and FreeCreditReport.com, which is what we call a personal score, which is way over here on the other side. And then there's a couple in the middle. There's if you're buying an automobile, if you're applying for employment, or if you're applying for a revolving credit card. All 5 of those are separate, distinct algorithms for calculating your credit score. They all do it differently. And Credit Karma, remember what I said, Credit Karma is all the way over here, mortgage is all the way over here. They look at different things. They look at different percentages. They look at different histories. They count installment loans different than they count revolving loans, and different than they count mortgage loans. So it's all calculated a little bit differently. It's kind of like if you talk to a borrower or a seller and they say, well, Zillow says my house is worth $525,000. Okay? Is it? Is it? Well, it could be, but we're not going to use that as our measuring device for what it's really worth. Okay? Well, that's the same thing with us when people say we use Credit Karma. We're like, okay, well, that's good. You kind of have an idea of where you're at, all right? But it's not a mortgage score.
So, Randy, is it fair to say that irrespective of which one, they're all using the same data, they just have a different algorithm?
That's correct.
Okay.
I
So it's
think-
all the same data.
It's all the
They
same
just
data.
interpret it differently.
It's all the same data. It's just the way it's calculated.
The closest one to the mortgage score, is it my FICO?
You know, I haven't heard that, so I really can't. Isn't my FICO still a personal credit score?
What
But
about
I mean-
annualcreditreport.com? I've always sent people there.
I mean, I still think. Let me tell you how I would answer that. Okay, let me go back to the Zillow example. I own several rental properties. And I like to, I'm not a real estate agent. I don't have access to all the really cool tools that you guys do. Okay? So I go on to Zillow sometimes. I admit it, I do. I go on to Zillow about once a month and I track the values of my properties and I have it on a chart. Okay? So I can see the trend of what Zillow says my property is worth. So I trust that trend. I don't trust that value. So if you're using MyFICO or using annualcreditreport.com or any of those things, I would trust the if you say, well, in January it was a 620 and now it's a 640. I would trust that trend, but I wouldn't trust that number. Does that make sense?
Yes, but there's nothing out there that can get our clients to.
Yes, there is. Us.
Law.
Yeah, mortgage loan.
I'm, to my knowledge, there isn't. There could be. I'm not going to say there isn't, but to my knowledge, if I were you, and I was you, I was a real estate agent for 12 years, I would have my people with my trusted mortgage person, very first thing, to figure out what's going on. Now, the pushback you're going to get is I don't want somebody pulling my credit. Right? It's going to cost me points. Okay? And you know what? And I get the question all the time. Every single person I talk to. Is this going to be a hard pull? Is it going to ding my credit? The answer is yes and yes. It is. But I'm also going to show you through this presentation that I have what a huge benefit it is to get that done early. Okay? Number one, did you know that when we pull your credit, it costs you probably no more than 3 or 4 points for that inquiry? Also, if another lender pulls their credit within the same 30 days, it costs them no points. And that's by law. And those 3 or 4 points return to their score after 90 days. So it's not like a permanent ding. You know, it's a temporary thing. Plus, when we pull it, and I'm going to show you this, we have the instant we pull it, without pushing another button, it tells us how many points we can help you improve your credit score almost instantly. So I would say, if I were in your shoes, okay, I would say, yes, it is going to be a hard pull. Yes, it is going to slightly affect your score, but the benefits are going to far outweigh any negatives. Because after all, this is a planning type thing. If you get your prospects to us early enough, we can identify problems. We can identify areas that they can drastically improve so they can get a better rate. The difference in a interest rate, if you're doing a conventional loan, the difference between a 659 and a 680 sometimes is very dramatic. FHA loan maybe not so much, but on a conventional loan it is. It could be 1/4, 3/8 of a point.
Yeah, I got I actually received 2 clients yesterday that aren't purchasing for like 8 months. And I'm like, kudos to you for starting it early because we can get you in a much better position when it's time to pull the trigger.
I've got a couple of lease purchases going where they couldn't do it in the beginning because of the credit score. And I've taken my people from a 579 to a 672. Okay? And now they qualify. So, had they said, no, I don't want you to pull my credit because I don't want it to be dinged, they'd have been in serious trouble. And again, sometimes it does not make common sense what to do to get your score up. Like I said, closing out these 4 credit cards that are at 18% and putting them all on one card to the average person sounds like it's really going to help them. So it doesn't always make common sense. All right, I think we just talked about that. It's not actually 3 industries, it's 5. There's the word right there, the algorithm. There's every person has 2,250 credit scores. So which one are we going to use? We're going to use the mortgage score that we pull. Did you guys know that we pull all 3 bureaus? Every lender does. Okay, we pull all 3 bureaus, and we throw out the high, throw out the low, just use the middle score. That doesn't mean the one that's printed on the paper in the middle. That means the one that's the median score. Okay? What are score requirements? To get the best possible rate, you want to have the best possible credit score. Well, for conventional loans, that's anything over a 740. Now, everybody advertises we'll do conventional loans down to a 620. But the difference in a rate between here and here,
Point and a half, maybe?
point and a half, I mean, it's pretty dramatic. All right? FHA, usually anything over 640 will get you a pretty doggone good rate. We'll do them down in the 580 to 619 range, but there's some overlays and some other requirements. So if you have somebody that says, they know they have a 580 score, it is possible we can do that loan. But there's a lot of other things that are going to go into determining that, not just the score.
It's really it's layering of risk. So if they're at a 580, but they're purchasing well below they're way in their means, and they've got a lot of money in the bank for reserves, etc., then probably. But if they're stretching their budget, the rubber band is stretched all the way tight, they've got no money and a 580.
Well, let's face it, if they've got a 580, they've got it for a reason. Okay? So we just have to identify and see, what the risk is in doing that loan. But it is possible. Just so you guys know, we can do loans down in that arena. Don't like to. And a lot of times they won't get approved down in there for other reasons other than credit. Okay? All right. Cloudy credit. The rules on this keep changing. Even this that's up here is not accurate right now, and we did this a few months ago. But the important thing for you guys to know is we came through some rough economic times 5 or 6, 7 years ago, however long it was. There was a lot of people had short sales and bankruptcies and foreclosures and things like that. And now they're starting to come out of that and they're ready to buy. So on a FHA loan, though, out of a Chapter 13, they only have to be a year out.
1 year. 1 year.
2 years. Yeah. 2 years for a Chapter 7 or 11, whereas a conventional, it's a lot longer. Foreclosure, a lot longer. We actually have we have some investors with us that will allow you
12 months.
Well, we've got 12 months out of bankruptcy or foreclosure?
Either.
SG?
Wow. There's a couple of them. No.
Okay. Yeah. I thought we had one that was like 1 day out.
Not anymore.
Ah, okay. Cool. Collections, so forth. So ask questions, interact as we go along through here. We're just trying to give you some basic examples of credit. Again, I'm going to give you some great ideas. I'm not trying to make you a loan officer because I have plenty of competition. I'm just trying to give you some basics.
When it says disputes not allowed on conventional, what is that?
Great question. When you dispute a late payment or a collection on your credit bureau, on your credit report, the law is that if it's under dispute, if you officially dispute it, and this is what a lot of the credit repair people do, if you officially dispute it, they remove that line from the algorithm calculating your credit score. So 6-7 years ago, a lot of borrowers, at the advice of some credit repair people and some lenders, shall we say, said, hey, you've got a 580 score, Rashonda, but you've got 10 collections. So if you dispute every one of those collections and we rescore you, you're going to have a 680 score. Your credit's exactly the same. It didn't change. But because those 10 accounts are disputed, they're no longer calculated in her score, and lenders were approving. Well, lenders got wise to that, because that's the law. Says if it's dispute, it's a Fair Credit Reporting Act law, says if it's under dispute, you can't use it to calculate your score. So lenders said, yeah, we're not going to allow that anymore. So if you have a dispute, you're going to have to remove that dispute, recalculate your score, and now let's see what it is. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's what that is. We've since softened a little bit on that. So if you have a dispute with a zero balance, typically we're not going to make you rescore it. But that's how a lot of these fly-by-night credit repair companies, that's how they do this. They dispute everything. And
Artificially raises people's scores.
right. Okay. Which I'm going to give you some other hints on how to raise your credit score legally, but creatively. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. Here, we were just talking about this. I don't want anybody pulling my credit. I just had it pulled, blah, blah, blah. I pay everything with cash. Thank you, Dave Ramsey. Which, hey, Dave Ramsey, great guy, love the guy, but he's not teaching people how to buy homes.
Right.
He's teaching people how to get out of debt.
Right.
Okay? Well, buying a home, you're getting into more debt. So, by the way, he's actually starting a mortgage arm too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they've been ringing my phone constantly trying to recruit me.
Recruiters.
Yeah. Here's another one. I love this. This happens all the time. Happens literally all the time. We've got a file, Jake's file. It's all clear to close. Congratulations, Jake. Your loan's clear to close. We're going to close in 2 weeks. So Jake's like, I'm clear to close. Honey, let's go to Rooms to Go. We're buying a whole house full of furniture. All right? You actually had somebody that bought a Maserati or a Porsche or something?
He bought 2 cars. Whoa. Still, thankfully, he's still qualified, but he bought 2 cars like a week before closing. We're like, hey, why is it was like Hyundai or something. Why are this Hyundai pulling your credit? He goes, oh yeah, it's the 2 cars I bought last week.
Yeah. So lenders, we will monitor your credit. This is important for you guys to know, okay? Because you're advising your borrowers. You're closer to your borrowers than we are. We monitor your credit. All lenders do up until the day of closing. Now, not that, okay, Jake spent an extra $5 on his Visa card last week. No, we're not monitoring that close, but we do monitor credit inquiries.
We get pinged if their credit gets pulled.
And then you have to explain it. We saw that, Rooms to Go did a credit pull on you, Jeannie. What happened? And then trust me, on more than one occasion, we've made people take furniture back because all of a sudden they didn't qualify. All right. Opening new accounts for special
Why wouldn't they qualify if they open up a new debt?
Because we look at their debt ratios. And their debt ratios, if they were close to begin with and they open up a new account, now they have a new debt, are going to be too high. Even if the people at Rooms to Go tell you, don't worry about it, there's no payment for 6 months. Your lender won't care because there's no payment. Well, that's BS. Your lender does care because we still have to have what would your payment be? Okay?
Do you recommend freezing your credit
Do I recommend freezing your credit?
up until closing? Do you recommend?
Yeah, I don't see any negatives to freezing your credit. As long as you can remember your passwords and unfreeze it. That's the problem I get. All right? That's the problem I get is that somebody froze their credit. Now it comes time for us to do our thing, and it takes them 2 weeks to get their credit unfrozen. Okay? So as long as you got your passwords written down, yeah, there's no negative to that.
Keep it unfrozen until after it closes.
So keep it, okay, keep it.
Randy, what happens when someone opens up an account and then turns around, pays it off immediately just to get the special deal they offer? Does that ding your credit too?
Does it ding your? It'll ping us, yes, and we will ask you to prove everything you just said. So it adds more hassle to you and to us. Will it work? Yeah, it'll probably still work, providing you had enough funds, and now we've got to look at your bank statement and transaction summary and so forth. It's just a hassle. So, will it work? Yeah, probably work, but I wouldn't advise them.
Just gotta have paperwork to tell the story.
Yep.
Sometimes I think of younger people today, a lot are just afraid, because particularly if they have parents who've gone through the 2007 downturn in the economy, and most times they don't have any credit. You know?
Yeah, and
You know?
see, there's
Renters-
another reason
Yeah.
to get your prospect to us early.
Mhm.
Sometimes they have no credit, which, by the way, I said credit drives everything in our industry. It's interesting to note that if they have no credit whatsoever, we can still get them a loan.
Oh.
Yeah.
The rate's awful.
They have no credit score. They have no credit score, and we can still get them a loan.
Not
Which
So
is-
these people that are 8 months out,
Uh-huh.
say they had no credit at all, would 8 months be long enough?
Yes.
For you to establish them.
Typically, it's like three to 4 months of
Depends
on-time
on
payment.
depends on what they open.
Yeah. But you could tell them the best things to open, right?
Secured credit cards, regular credit cards.
And one installment loan.
Yeah.
Get 2 revolving, 1 installment.
That's when you buy the car.
No,
Don't buy the
no.
car.
It's buy a $200 rug from Rooms to Go and finance it.
So the co-signing on other accounts, this is kind of the same thing, but how does a parent co-signing on a student loan for their kid?
How does it affect who?
The parent, if they're trying to.
It's their debt. Just as much
It's
as
their
your
debt.
Yeah. Both.
The only way around that is if
Should the
the
kid's paying it?
if the parent co-signed
Mm-hmm.
and you can prove the kid has paid it for 12 months, we can obey it. But if the parent signed and the kid co-signed, which is more likely what happened, it doesn't work. Because now the parent's the primary borrower. It goes back to who's the primary borrower. We used to be a little bit more liberal on that. They're not so much anymore. And student loans is a whole new ball of wax we don't even want to talk about today.
That's what I was gonna ask you about.
Well,
That's
well,
another class.
Go ahead.
I actually have.
It's
a-
an open forum.
I actually have a client right now that all she had was student loans, and it's been about 6 years now.
Mhm.
And they garnished her wages and took her income tax returns and all that stuff. But she has no other credit. And she's
It depends on how if her loans are in good standing
Now,
now.
well, they're paid off now because they garnished her wages and took her income tax.
So she
Well-
doesn't have any student loans anymore.
Well, they're still on there. I'm telling her to get in touch with the student loan people because there's, when one company buys it from the other company, so now it looks like there's like quadruple student loans, but it's really all the same student loan. So it's something that she's.
but they still have a zero balance, right?
No, they're showing.
Oh, so it's in collections.
No, it's
always
not
like a
collect,
collection
well, they
agency.
took her income tax return for the last 2 years and garnished her wages. So she's like, it's paid off at this point. But they're still showing a balance. So I told her to get in touch with student loan people and get a ledger showing, you know, where they took her income tax return, and you gotta get that balance fixed first, so.
So the balance is, so she's got an error on her credit report, basically.
Yeah. But she would contact the student loan people, correct? Not the credit bureau.
I would talk to a credit repair company.
So would I.
What about
really?
the federal, the CFPB? I mean, because there's rules against that.
We could refer to a credit repair company, because I mean, what we're going to talk about is basic stuff, but if we're not credit repair folks.
Right.
But we do have a couple companies that we refer people to that do a good job. I bet they'd have that cleaned up in 60 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because she, like I said, she has.
If she doesn't actually owe it, but it's still showing on there, that's an easy fix.
I always opt for the course of least resistance, and everything has a hassle factor, and I'd probably rather pay $100 or $200 to a credit repair company to get that fixed rather than spend 8 hours on the phone myself.
Right.
What's the name of the company, is the question?
Well,
I'm sorry?
Home Loans Assist.
Home Loans Assist.
Or Mortgage Ready, either one. We have two that we use. Trey, did you want to come up front?
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, here.
Pizza just got here if you want us.
Yeah, not everybody all at once, but there is pizza in the back, so a couple at a time. Go help yourself.
How about that half of the room?
All right, so I told you, and now I'm backing it up. I told you when we pull your credit, we instantly see how many points are available to your prospect to improve their credit score. This is, now I've deleted the social so you can't see it, but this is an actual credit report that I pulled.
Back in 2016.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, the slides have been around.
They still look the same.
This person has a 741, a 679, 715.
No, it's
Nope, I'm sorry. A 680, 675, 680. So they've got a 680 credit score right now. That's the middle score. 680, 675, 687. So the middle's a 680. They have available to them these potential points to raise their score. So the bottom line tells me this is your potential score. 715, 679, 740. So I can go from a 680 to a 715. That could make the difference between me qualifying and not qualifying. It could make a quarter of a point or more difference in my interest rate. Calculate that out over 30 years. Okay? So is there a benefit to us pulling this person's credit early and giving them this information?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he pulled it in 2016, but now they're just getting ready to buy it right now. Think about how good the rate is now.
Okay,
Does
so
it tell you what they have to do to get those extra points?
yes, I think it's on the next slide.
Yay. Okay.
It is. Okay, so this is the report that we run. It's called a Credit Expert. So this particular one was on Equifax for this person. It said you can get 54 points if you do these things, and these things are going to cost you $913. So if this person spends $913 in the proper way, they can get 54 points added to their score. I mean, I think that's a great deal. What do they have to do? Well, it tells you exactly what they have to do. They got to pay the balance down to $249 on their Barclays card. This is not a shotgun approach, guys. This is like laser surgery here. Okay? It tells you exactly what you have to do. Pay your Macy's down to $0. Sometimes you pay it down to $10. Sometimes you pay it down to $24. It's all calculated in their algorithms, and they know exactly how it's going to affect it. Now, tell me that somebody would just guess these things by using common sense. No, you're not. It's got to be done this way.
And they're still spending their own $900 that they owe anyway.
Right. It's not. They're not paying fees.
Right.
It's not like we're going to charge you a $913 fee. It's you got to spend $913 doing these things. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
You most certainly may.
If you have, say, a credit card with $5,000 on it,
What's the limit?
no, let's wait a minute. Let's think about it. Okay, credit card, $6,000 limit, $4,500 balance. Car note, $4,500 balance. If you had $4,500 to pay off one
Or the other?
which one would have the
Credit
most impact? Credit
Not
card.
necessarily. I'm going to disagree with him.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Because it depends on how you're qualifying. All right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay? Because we've got to look at your debt ratios. And I've got this going with 3 deals right now where I'm having them pay off 6 different things on their credit report. And what I do is I look at where you can get the biggest bang for your buck. Let's take your example. Car payment's probably $350 a month.
Right.
The credit card payment's probably $70 a month. If I'm trying to get them to qualify and it's close, I'm going to have them pay off the car.
Okay.
Because now I just gained back another $350 a month.
Right. Okay.
So it depends. Okay? If you're not trying to qualify,
I was talking about from a credit standpoint.
right. I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying it depends on the circumstance.
Right. If you're trying to qualify for a house, then you're freeing up cash so
Right.
you pay off the
And
car.
this is
you
go-
want to improve your credit, then you pay off the credit card. And
This is going back to the Dave Ramsey thing. Okay? Great guy, gives great advice, but he's not advising people how to buy homes. All right? What we're talking about right here is, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why you want to get your score up, or if you want to get your debt down. In the case that I have a couple of loans going, I'm having them pay off cars where they don't owe very much, but the payment's like $470 and they only owe 10 grand. They got another credit card that's 10 grand, they only pay $100 a month.
yeah.
Where can they make the best use of that $10,000? Paying off the car, because that's the only way they're going to qualify.
You might also get lucky if you had, say, called Barclay in that particular case, and Barclays, you say, hey, I need some more credit on
Don't
my
steal my
credit card.
thunder.
Jake's taken this class 12 times.
Jake's been in this class before.
So I used to be a real estate paralegal, so I would do the closing package. And I started noticing within the last year that you guys were adding to the CD, paying off cars, paying off credit cards at closing. So are you guys basing that off of your game plan, sort of say?
Sure, yeah. Again, right now I've got 3 loans in my pipeline that the only way they could qualify is because we sat down and went through everything on their credit report, and they wanted to buy this house, which meant they had to have this payment, so I had to get rid of debt. They had money, but how do we best utilize that money? And we went through and we identified where we could get the biggest bang for our buck. Pay off as little as possible with the most possible monthly payment.
Right.
Okay? And I actually calculated out. I divided the monthly payment into what they owed, and I came up with a decimal number. And whichever one of those decimal numbers were the highest, those are the ones we paid off. Okay? But we can do it at closing. We can give you an approval based on that card being paid off at closing.
Because they could be selling a house in the morning, and the proceeds from that house is gonna pay down the debt plus the funds needed for closing.
And paying it off at closing is also easier because if you pay it off ahead of time, then we got to go back and trace those funds that paid it off. Whereas if we pay it off at closing, we only have to verify one set of funds. It's just so much easier for everybody involved to pay it off at closing. And we used to force them to close that account. We don't do that anymore. They don't have to close that account. They can keep the account open. Okay? We good? We good? All right, here's another example. Again, these are not fictitious, these are real. Look at the potential points this person had. They're going to go from a 614 score to a 721. You think that might make a difference?
Yeah.
Holy shamoly.
Maybe a little.
Okay? How much was it? Now, in this case, it's going to cost them $3,300, but they can gain 107 points on their score. That's crazy. And there, I mean, again, same type report tells you exactly what to do. There's no guesswork involved. So I have to go back to our conversation in the beginning. I know you get pushback. I've been in your shoes. You're trying to work with your borrower. You're trying to get them pre-qualified. I know you get pushback on, hey, I need you to talk to my lender. Some of their comments are going to be, I've already talked to a lender a few months ago. I'm good. Let's go see the houses. Okay? Don't accept it. Don't believe them. Or, hey, I've already had my credit pulled by XYZ mortgage company. I'm already pre-qualified. Here's my letter. You don't have any idea who those people are. Right? Are you going to trust them? You going to believe them? I wouldn't. I did once. I won't do it again.
There are some large, I won't name names, Quicken sometimes that will actually give you a pre-qualification letter without pulling your credit.
Wow. Yeah. I wouldn't trust that. So here's my speech. If I'm you, here's my speech. I understand, and you can use anyone you want to finance your home. But right now, I need you to talk to my people just so that we all have a comfort level of where we're at and we know exactly what you can do and what you can't do. And I guarantee you they're not going to pressure you, they're not going to force you to do anything. They're going to look at it, they're going to give you some great advice, and then we can start moving forward. I would not put them in my car until I did that. And trust me, I did when I was a realtor sitting in your shoes, first starting out. I was so thrilled to have a buyer that I showed somebody property for 3 weeks only to find out they didn't qualify. Okay? So, yes, I do have firsthand experience at that. So, don't let it happen to you. Just let us get them pre-qualified. I don't care if they're pre-qualified with somebody else. That's fine. Let them use whoever they want. Just for your sake, make sure you know that they're pre-qualified. All right. This is one of the companies that we do use for credit repair. This tool that I showed you before where we can add points is great. But you know what? We also get referrals from some people that have credit scores that are, let's say, more challenging than what we can deal with.
Sometimes it says you've got a 479 with the potential for 4 points. You know, like what do you tell them to do?
So we don't kick anybody to the curb. If you send us somebody, we don't say, sorry, I can't help you, call me back in a year. You won't hear any of us say that. What we'll do is we'll put them in one of 2 programs that companies that we have experience with that do credit restoration, credit repair, that are moral, ethical companies, and which is a rarity in that industry. There are literally, if you Google credit repair, I mean, there's thousands of companies that'll come up. Most of them are a ripoff. It's just the way it is. Most of them are a ripoff. We have 2 that we have firsthand experience with that we'll refer your borrowers to. They are fee-based. They're not a charity. They'll charge them. But they will also counsel them. They will track them. They give us monthly reports of where these people are. And when their score is back to where it should be, they notify us, and then we notify you. So it's a great way to keep track of them so that we don't discard anybody. But they do have to follow the advice, and they will get results. Okay?
Like I said, you know, it took a little bit of work to get down to a 480. It's going to take a little bit of work to get out of it.
Kind of like putting on hair and losing it.
All right, and it's amazing some of the things that they can actually get rid of, which, you know, I'm not going to go into.
Do they work with IRS debts at all?
No, we work with Mortgage Ready, and we work with
Home
No,
assist-
she's
Oh, that's
asking if they do
what
IRS
she-
stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was the name of a company.
No. Do they work with, so I have a client, they owe some money to the IRS, and they're trying to figure out what kind of payment plan thing.
You know, I don't know if they do, or I don't have any
What's
firsthand
this
experience
tax
on
lien?
it.
It says
Yeah, tax
lien.
liens, yeah.
Okay.
So I would think so. Especially the, not mortgage ready, but what's the other one called?
Home loans assist.
Home loan assist. Yeah, they're pretty personable.
If they're working with the government and now we're on a payment program, I think we can work with that, once there's a
As long as they've
payment
made
plan.
one payment.
Okay.
All right. So let's, I told you I'd give you a couple of helpful tips and hints. Two things I want to tell you guys for your own benefit or for your borrowers. A lot of the score has to do with credit utilization. The spread, especially on a revolving account, like a MasterCard, a Visa, or American Express, the spread between the credit limit and what you owe, the bigger that spread, the more positive points you get. If you have, let's say the American Express, you've got a $5,000 credit limit and you owe $5,000, the spread is like nothing. You are going to get negative points. Okay? That is not a good thing.
Now, what if you pay it off every month? How does that reflect?
Don't steal my thunder. That's where I'm headed. That's where I'm headed. That's where I'm headed.
Questions
Keep
at
that in
the
mind.
end. Questions at the
Keep
end.
that in mind. No. But there's two ways to kind of turn that around and make it a positive thing. One is if you just don't have the money to pay that off, you call American Express and you say, look, I need my credit limit raised.
That's Jake's him.
No, it's his. I took it.
I need my credit limit raised, and if they raise your credit limit to $10,000, if you've got decent credit, they're going to do it. You got a good track record. It's not like you're making late payments. They'll raise your credit limit to $10,000. You just instantly gained yourself 30, 40 points just with that one phone call. Okay, and it didn't cost you a nickel. So that's one way. That's one tip, and you can do that with any of your cards. Now, and I'll tell my prospects or my clients, I'm not telling you to go out and spend that extra $5,000 to get it back up to 10 now. That's not the point. But it is it's a quick, easy trick or strategy to get your score up in a hurry.
Oh, trick is the right word.
Yeah.
Are there
Okay.
Are there any benefits to having a blue or a black American Express card?
Not to my knowledge. But let's take the same American Express. Give me 1 second. Let's take this same American Express, $5,000 credit limit. I love points. I love points, and it's a real big thing today, right? Everybody's selling points, miles, cruise miles, air miles, whatever on different kind of cards. And a lot of people, especially the millennials, will do this. They pay everything on that credit card. Let's take that American Express. They pay it off every single month. Every single month, they rack it back up to $5,000. They pay it off, rack it back up to $5,000. Pay it off, rack it back up. I will never, ever be able to pull a credit report showing a zero balance on that. It will always show that $5,000 balance. Here's why. When American Express, their statements drop, let's say every month on the 10th. You go back and look at your American Express, it'll drop within a day or two of the same day every month. Let's just say it's the 10th. Statement drops on the 10th. American Express sends the statement to you. It says you owe $5,000. It sends it to the credit bureaus. You owe $5,000. You write a check the next day. Send it to Amex. Amex doesn't tell the credit bureaus. There's no hot link between Amex and the credit bureaus. The credit bureau only knows
When the bill generates.
when the bill generates. Okay? So now you've paid it off. Now the next month you're racking it back up to 5,000. I send you a statement that says you owe 5,000. I send it to the credit bureaus. That's all the credit bureau knows. Here's how to circumvent that. You know it drops on the 10th. You know you're going to pay it off. Go online on the 5th. Pay it off. Now the statement drops on the 10th. How much do you owe? How much do I send to the credit bureaus that you owe?
So you
Zero.
want to owe zero? You don't want to owe? You don't want to owe?
Yeah, whatever. You may still have a little small balance, but whatever. Whatever. You're going to get a heck of a lot more points for a zero balance than you will 5,000.
But
Okay.
is,
And you do that so you're not paying any more money. You're just altering the timing of your payment.
Okay.
but is your mortgage algorithm looking at the average of the last umpteen months of what your balance is?
They're looking at credit usage. So yeah, they're gonna. I mean, you probably want to leave a little balance on there once in a while.
Well, no, what I'm thinking, I think, is this where you're going, is if you tell the client, okay, I know you do this, for the next 4 months.
Correct.
Start paying it on the 5th.
Correct.
Why?
So that if they go back a few
Or 12
months.
months.
This is planning.
Right.
This is planning.
This is where if they get to you ahead
This
of
is
time.
planning. Not only that, but I will advise people that if we're planning and they're close on qualifying, I'm going to have them do that. Because I don't want that payment showing up. You know, $5,000 balance, their minimum payment's $300. I don't want that showing up. Hey, pay it off before it's due.
But what you're saying is you don't know what the algorithm does. Kind of like Facebook, you have no idea what the hell's going on.
I go by this. It's like the formula to Coca-Cola. I mean, you know, you ain't gonna get it.
But it just makes sense to pay it off on the 5th for the next 6 months.
You
Or for the rest of
will
your life.
dramatically improve your credit score, and you'll lessen your debt ratio.
Does it matter, bad debt that's been closed because they didn't pay the debt? It's closed out. Does the balance on that account have an impact on a credit score? If they're paying a little bit every month, or if they pay off the balance?
If
does it
it's
have
charged
an
off,
impact?
the balance doesn't matter.
Right. Is it good for them to pay that debt off? Will they get any positive points for paying that off?
No. That's the truth.
The damage is done when it goes to collections or it gets charged
That's
off.
the truth.
The only thing that heals that is time.
That's why they really should talk to us first. Hey, I've got $1,000 I'm getting back from my taxes.
I want to pay
down
off.
debt. Call us, because if they're paying off a collection account and the collection agency is not going to delete that account, it's not going to help their credit.
Leave it alone.
Right. Let us
Let it go
advise
away.
on how to spend that money to get the most
That-
bang.
it's exactly right. It goes back to it doesn't always make common sense.
A lot of times paying off a collection will actually lower your score.
Yeah.
Because it opens
Because
up again.
let's just say it went to collections a year ago and its last active date was a year ago. If I pay it, even though
updates
the balance doesn't matter, but it
updates
updates to the most recent, most active date. Just went from a year ago to today, and now it's active.
It's only beneficial if that person wants to go back to that company for something.
Well,
and use something like
Or to have it
if
deleted.
it's a card that goes into collections and a person wants to use that particular company again, they have to pay off that closed account before they can get another loan with them.
Probably,
that only
I would
makes
think.
sense if you want to
could be.
use them.
It could be.
So
Again-
is it not true that you guys, when, say I pay something off right away, that you guys have people at the credit bureaus that will post it immediately?
Well,
It's like a $25 or $35 charge. Or
what you're talking about is a rapid rescore. Okay, we have that.
Okay.
We use that. It's $35 per trade line per
line,
bureau.
Right.
So if you're getting one trade line rescored, it's $105. And we can do it usually within a few days, depending on the account.
What did you just say in English?
So remember when he was standing up here and he goes once a month and once a month when the statement goes, what if we need something done quicker than that? Typically we'll only do this if they're actually under contract on a property, just because it does cost us money.
We can't pass that on to the consumer.
Oh,
Yeah.
So we had
good though.
some people who were
We're supposed
rescoring,
to.
They just raised the rate a quarter point.
They used to.
who were rescoring 5 and 6 trade lines for costing the company over $1,000.
We can pass it on at closing.
Okay, yeah, it was. I think-
But yeah, that's
We
basically
can't
the way
have
that
them. We can't have them pay for it up front.
And then I have one more question. Addresses and names on the credit file. Do you prefer to have all those old addresses removed, or does it matter, or?
Now, we have a form that auto-generates from the credit report. When we pull it, we have, it's called a derogatory report. It automatically generates, and it's got all the addresses, and we just have our borrowers go through and say, I lived here from here to here, and here to here, and here. They just answer a few questions.
Okay.
And it's the same with the AKAs.
Okay.
I think it's always amazing, sometimes pulling credits, is that how many mistakes are made. And you might not have known it, but there's somebody with a similar name, maybe rather than John J. Duffy.
We've had the juniors and the junior and senior.
Hey, I got
Where in the heck?
I got a William Smith going right now.
Oh, really?
Okay, and he's the third. It's yeah, which again goes back to why should another part of the speech that you should give. Why you should get pre-qualified and have them allow us to pull your credit. Could be somebody else could be using your credit. You wouldn't even know it.
And then sometimes the limits of 10 years usually, I think, for most things, isn't it?
Well, no, it's
Pull off.
7.
It's actually 7 years, 7 months, or something like that for most revolving and installment credit. Bankruptcies and things like that are 10. Foreclosures.
Because nobody takes that off unless you request it to be taken
No, it falls off. Yeah, it falls off. But the dirty, rotten scoundrels that are collection artists
Put it back on
usually
there.
refresh it and find a way to keep it on there for a little bit longer. That's when it comes in handy to use a reputable credit restoration company.
Okay.
So, questions? I mean, if you can't tell, guys, this is one of the things I'm really passionate about. I could sit up here and talk for a lot longer, but I won't do that to you. But credit drives not only our business, but your business too. So I hope you guys have gained some tips and some
Snippets.
that you can use not only for your prospects, but for yourself. I mean, I pull people's credit several times a day, and sometimes I'll run into people like I'll say, "Hey, great job! You got a 760 score," and they'll like,
I need to get 7.
my brother-in-law's got an 801. I needed to. What can I do to get my score up? And I'm like, dude, you don't need your score up anymore. It's fine. You're getting the best of the best right now. But they still want to know what they can do because it's like keeping up with the Joneses. They want to have, if they don't have over an 800, they're not happy.
In some things like American Express, a lot of times those may be business-related expenses that the company requires that certain expenses be run through, particular American Express, it seems like more than anybody else. How does that affect, or how can one get that removed from your personal credit when in actuality it's a business reimbursement expense?
Who's the
But maybe they messed
who's the
up.
responsible party though?
Either one's on there.
Yeah.
Or have it taken out in the corporate name.
Right.
Corporation name.
Well, yeah. Let me get one more question. I'm going to come back to that because I'm going to elaborate on that for just a second.
I think he said it. Did you say that once an account hits collections, then the damage is already done?
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if it's in collections, it's damage is done.
Well,
It's like
let's
this.
qualify that a little bit because there's a dollar amount.
Technicality, right?
So what's that dollar amount?
So
$742.
So if that's the case, is it?
If the growth,
Why do they tell you to pay off your debts and collections if it doesn't matter?
if the
Who's
sum
that?
of, if the sum of all of your collections is over $2,000, you're gonna have to pay off everything.
Everything. So if it's under
If it's $1,999, we'll make payoff.
So
it
there
doesn't
is.
do anything to the score if it's under
That's
19.
easy.
Oh, it'll have effect on score.
Okay.
You mean paying it off?
It could, yeah.
We've got analyzer tools, dude. Sometimes it doesn't make common sense, so I run it through the analyzer every time. We've got not only this tool, but we have another tool that we bring up. It's called a what if simulator, and it brings up your whole credit report. And we'll just sit there and say, okay, what if we paid this account to $10, dink, and it shows us instantly what that's going to do to your score.
Yeah. What if we pay off this collection?
What if we pay off this collection, what it's going to do to the score? So we'd always run it through that what if analyzer, and then we could tell you exactly. It is such a cool tool.
Well,
Now, hold on, just one second. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. 1 second. There was another screen here that we didn't cover. Co-signing. Great way to get your credit score up or one of your prospects so that they can get credit cards. If we're in the planning phase, this is kind of cool.
We're not saying co-sign with your clients.
No.
Big bucks.
No, delete that.
No,
And,
don't do
no.
that.
But I'm saying, like, if you're trying to get your kids credit, or if they're trying, co-sign for a car with them. I did that with mine in high school, and my kids had credit when they went to college. Okay, they had credit when I see a lot of people coming out of college that don't have any credit. My kids had credit when they went to college because we co-signed for their car. It's a great way to get them started, but even if somebody is struggling to reestablish their credit, if they get a parent or a sibling or something to co-sign, it's going to raise their score artificially, okay? And then they can get their own cards to start. And I say artificially because if you're just an authorized, I didn't mean co-sign, I meant authorized user. If you're an authorized user on somebody else's account, it artificially raises your score. As long as that card is in good shape, yeah. Could artificially decrease your score, but it artificially affects your
Yes,
score.
I've ran the analyzer tool where it says stop being an authorized user on this account, and your score will go up.
Yeah.
Because it's maxed out or it's got late payments or something.
Right. Rashonda, I'm sorry. No, you didn't.
Oh yeah, I remember. Now I was wondering, what was the tool that we were using to figure out mortgage payment amount? Is that the what if tool?
The mortgage payment amount?
Not mortgage payment amount, mortgage approval amount.
That's something different.
Oh, okay.
Is that DU? No? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right. Any questions, comments?
Answer Jake's question about the corporate card.
Oh, the corporate card, being an authorized user is basically, that's what triggered my thing. Because if you have a corporate card, you're an authorized user on it, but you're not responsible for it. Right? The company's responsible for making the payment, but they put you on it so that you can use the card. It does have an effect. It'll show up on your credit report as an authorized user, and it could artificially kick you out of qualifying, like if it's got a large minimum payment.
That used to be fairly common in the corporate world. That you have a corporate card and Jake would be able to use it. But more often, recently, I've seen that they don't do that anymore. They just say, Jake, you use your own card.
Get reimbursed.
And as long as you submit your expense, we'll pay you back.
Right.
But you could potentially be hurting yourself by doing that.
By doing which part?
Well, it's not
Like
uncommon
when
for a
you
lot of
send your
employees to submit their expense
Yeah.
account late. Therefore, they don't pay their card or they run a balance on their card.
This all comes back to credit management.
Right.
Credit management.
No, I was simply
You're going to have to
thinking
be,
about it for your
if you're doing that, you're going to have to be proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah, no, I was thinking.
Get ahead of-
absolutely nothing to do with mortgage. It was like, all right,
Okay.
I've got kids in the corporate world, and that's what, and they travel.
Mine too.
And they have to use their own credit cards to
Yep.
do that. So
I've got two that do extensive traveling. And I would hate to see what their bills run each month.
I mean, they get it paid off,
Sure.
they get reimbursed, but
Mhm.
it's not necessarily helping themselves.
Not necessarily.
I guess if they paid on the 5th before the 10th.
Could be. Could be. Questions? Any other questions, comments? Yes, sir.
I was gonna run one by you, by you. If, for example.
Is this
we borrow-
place stump the panel?
No, it's mine
Okay.
personally. If I borrowed against the 401k program,
Ah.
two options that they are asking is how quick are you gonna pay this back? Okay. My thoughts was originally, I'm gonna pay it back in probably 6 months. Well, that works somewhat against you in the event of what ifs. And so the second option was, why don't you extend this rather than 6 months to say 5 years? And even if you do pay it off, fine, as long as there's no payoff penalties there beforehand. It's a difference of paying about $1,000 a month versus paying $200 a month. Obviously, stretch it out to 5 years. If you pay it off, what's the difference? In
All right.
6 months, my
All right.
goal.
Okay. So I'm not sure I totally understood your question,
There are
but
two
let me make a
options.
comment on it.
Yeah.
Number one, borrowing against your 401k. Don't think I've ever seen it show up on a credit report.
Okay, good.
Most
Okay.
of the time they don't.
That loan will not show up on a credit report.
Collateralized it pretty good.
Okay, and if you're repaying that at $500 a month, that $500 a month is not going to be counted in your debt ratios because you're borrowing your own money
Right.
on a 401k. That's a great way for people to come up with a down payment. Now, the average person says, well, I can't take money out of my 401k because I'm not old enough and I'll get heavily penalized. Okay? Maybe it's not the case for you and me, but for other people it is. That's not true either. Because if you borrow money out of your 401k, you're not taking money out of your 401k. You're just borrowing using the 401k as collateral. So if you had $200,000 in your 401k and you borrow $50,000, you still have $200,000 in your 401k. You just now have a $50,000 loan against it.
Yeah.
So it absolutely has zero effect on your credit.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, it also has zero effect on your debt ratio from a lending perspective.
And then quick ways to pay off, my intentions is really paying off mortgage quicker. And there's several alternatives, ideas. Some people say pay 13th payment only to pay it down. Over a period of time, you'll pay it down substantially on that. Or when one gets lumps of sums.
You realize we're transgressing into a different
Yeah.
topic here.
Little somewhat credit.
right?
And then the second part of it is saying when you get big chunks of change, if you're in a commission-based type business, paying that off, direct always your principal towards principal and not so much the interest.
Yeah, I would never do a lump sum payment on interest.
No, I wouldn't.
So
principal.
Will they recalculate it? Sometimes
Your interest payment is always calculated on how much you owe.
flat rate. Yeah, if you go with a flat rate.
With rates being where they are,
Yeah.
and your rate of return on your investments being where they are, then you tell me. Because if let's just say your interest is 5%, and you're in a 30% tax bracket, which interest is tax deductible, yes?
Yes.
Okay. For the most part. Maybe a little bit different with the new tax laws. But let's say your effective interest rate then is like 3.5%. What's your rate of return on your investments?
Yeah, it's got to be greater than that. So
Most people, even on my 401k, my rate of return is 7 or 8% right now. So does it make sense to take money out of my 401k to pay down my mortgage? Purely from a financial planning perspective, it doesn't. It makes more sense to borrow more rather than pay it down. So you have more to invest. But if you can't sleep at night, it doesn't matter. All right, guys, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
So let me ask you a question. So basically, the good
Okay.
ratio credit to have
We-
is two revolving.
we
one is-
stimulate?
like two credit cards and one.
That's if they have nothing to start off with.
So you wanna do a webinar?
Do I want to do a
Like, if they go
webinar?
from- They have no credit.
On what,
to-
credit?
That's the best way to get good credit fast if you have nothing.
Sure.
Okay.
But like
Just tape it?
the perfect
I think we just did.
I'm
would
talking about
be-
something more professional than what we do.
Okay.
I don't think it was live. I just looked at it.
six
Oh, it-
revolving.
oh, this
says-
this says it is.
Like mortgage.
It is? Okay.
Six revolving.
Thanks for lunch.
You're welcome.
6 revolving, all with a low balance, all on-time payments, 1 or 2 installment loans, a mortgage loan, and everything's always on time. That's how you get like 28, 30s.
Okay, because my purse,
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
an
it is.
installment, my car, my
Um,
mortgage, and I have one credit
I'll
card,
have to look
and I
and
have a
see what it
student
is.
loan. Those four.
Yeah, I have to
Everything's always on
send you a
time.
flyer.
Yep.
You sent me a flyer.
Should be in the mid-700s.
Well, on the VA,
Should be.
we're the only ones that do it, so far as I know. Now, the other
I wouldn't
ones,
clo- no,
a lot
I
of
wouldn't
other
close
ones do.
your-
The VA.
No, I'm not talking
is
about
something we
closing
do
anything,
in-house.
but I'm
I
just
have to look up and see
looking
what the
at,
dollar amount is or what the
when
percentage
you
is.
talk about 6
Seems to me
revolving,
it
I'm
was
like, I
like-
don't want that many cards.
Well,
Yeah, you know.
The perfect credit profile would have.
Yeah, it's kind of a, it's
I mean, that's.
kind of a small.
I have a lot of credit available to me, and I don't need to use it all.
No, that's the escrow.
Yeah.
I get it, I get it.
And I've been a good boy. I'm not
Yeah.
late. I'm not even maxing out my cards. And I've got look at everything I have, but I don't even use any of it.
Okay. Oh, I.
That's a good. That's a good
Okay.
risk of someone
But,
who's.
but if it's open, so you have to watch your ratio, because if it is open, they do count that, even though you don't have a balance on it.
There is
No, if you don't have a balance on your credit card.
Like you said, sometimes it's best to have 0. Sometimes it's best to have $10.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
have
really,
a
we don't
little
know.
bit, yeah, $10 on there a month.
Wow.
We need to sit down and.
I'm just thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Before I jump in. Where I can go. Okay, so my question is to the
Okay.
So.
Can't shoot them, can't, I know.
I know.
Yeah, that car.
I'm gonna turn it around for.
So many people. Nice break, save you time.
So you driving today?
No, I don't got it. I'm just gonna get with this listen and see if you got everything listed out that's supposed to be done from his seller. What they can do. Well, I'm gonna ask my buyer if they wanna have that free roof inspection, even though the whole paid for it, you know, they really don't need to get it. But anything over that roof, the whole is paid for. I just need to pay, because I have a, it's not the covenant, but it's the sheet that you sign when you sign on to, when you become the new owner, and you gotta pay the initiation fee for the whole, whatever. Well, on the sheet, it says.
It varies.
Everything.
But on a
exterior
revolving
is taken
type
care of.
account, it
So
really
by
doesn't
that,
matter. Tank
By the
gas.
floor, homeowners association, or the can.
It doesn't need,
So
it doesn't need.
need to be above 30%.
they had about
It should be
2 or
below
3 different
30%.
things other than the roof that were exterior needed to be done, and they told the listing
Yeah,
agent,
below
oh no, we
30%.
just do the roof and the
But
gutters.
if he's, does he have anything
That's
else or
not
just
what-
that one?
that's not the
credit?
verbiage of that.
See, it's
That
hard to
contract,
get a
that's
score
not
for
right.
just one card.
So that's what I gotta call them about today, make sure that. Well, if he does, if he does what he needs
To
to
get
do,
the
because that's
perfect
gonna sell,
credit
that's gonna
score,
save his seller
You need
money.
like 7 revolving, 2 installment, 1 mortgage, blah, 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 blah. But, with that being said, if you wanna get enough, if you have 2 revolving, 1 installment, you should be
So
good.
will his student loans still count?
His student loans are
I'm just gonna have
installment.
this go over because this,
Mhm.
the buyer is very
So
fearful,
He had his,
scared about
where loans he
everything.
has
Oh,
consolidated into one.
worried about
What
Because
nerve?
he just took, because there was a mutual fund that my parents.
And I get it, I understand it, but
That
not
he-
all.
Long story, but he just accessed it. And the guy in financial aid had school told him, because his salary, because he had one salary minimum, to take that and pay that off first because they were so much higher.
Yeah, I can't, I
You don't know.
don't know.
So, but his other stuff, that counts as as installment.
The student loans count as
Student-
installment.
As installment. But he just needs to get in there.
Because they're on a fixed, installment just means it's on a fixed
Yes.
payment, like a car payment. Student loans are a perfect example of it.
Rashonda, okay.
You're close, though.
No, yeah, I'm getting better.
I mean, use it a couple of
Me too.
times and put it in a bag of water, throw it in the freezer. That's what, I think that's a Dave Ramsey thing. Yeah, but just don't
But
close
it's
it.
true, you know, he's talking about getting.
Don't even have to use it. Have to use it a couple of times. You don't have to use it, just
You know, but
have it.
when somebody needs a house, they need some credit.
History. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
90% of his program of how to get people out of debt is just discipline. If you can just control yourself and the flow of the finances, everything, you know, you should be able to knock those big debts out quick.
So that was on March 16th, I can delete that. Mall, I'll run across the street to the mall real quick. I'm looking for.
I have a question for you.
Nope, sorry, class over.
I
What's
heard
up?
you say you had some investors for that will buy property. I have a person that wants to do a lease purchase.
Now, wait a minute, you said I had some investors that what?
That you have investors that buy homes?
No.
No.
No, we have investors that buy loans, different kinds of loans from us.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
Yeah.
All right.
No, not homes.
Okay.
That's your job.
Thank you for
Yeah, I know.
lunch, and thank you for lunch
You're welcome.
and for the information.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it'd be great if I get both. But I'm like, right now, I just want to put her in it.
Like, so I'll get the most, I'll get just unusual stuff, you know.
So, but she's wonderful about,
Yeah, once I know how to do something, I'll show you.
Let me know if you're doing
I was so
investment.
proud. I sent out my last.
I wouldn't mind partnering. This lady wants to do a lease purchase. She's already been ready probably for about 6 months.
Right place, and right order,
But,
and name everything, and it was just.
She can afford like $1,500, $1,600 a month.
The agent came back and said,
So,
this is one of the cleanest, nicest contracts I've ever gotten. And I did everything for it. Now, we were the buyer on that house, and I just had everything done, even though she didn't use dot loops, so she couldn't figure out how to do things. Well, dot loops, no, but dot loops is great, but she had problems loading stuff, that wasn't fun. Diane could say, Jeannie, it's not your problem, it's hers. But it was really nice, and I just took an offer with multiple offers, and people were sending me just 2 exhibits, and I'm like, where's everything else? Like, I know what you're supposed to be sending me, and you're not sending it to me, you know? Yeah. So it gets there.
it is.
But we have the best support staff.
Oh, everybody's been really.
This is, they're great, because I'm about to ask questions, but they're really here to help, and that makes the difference between our office and other offices. I interviewed at other Keller Williams, I interviewed at other companies, and I came back here because it's the support staff, and right now we
very productive, very informative.
you guys, help.
I'm gonna get my own credit up.
And they've been doing that.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
they're starting to let go a little, and they're very happy.
And mine needs some work too.
No, when I purchased my car, what I didn't know was all those the car dealer was running it through several different people, and my credit score took like a 60-point hit.
Yeah, and if it's in a short period of time, that shouldn't have took
It shouldn't have, but it did, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
But you already said it should, after about 90 days, those points should go back.
Real estate firm, but
Wow.
I own
How long has it been since you bought it?
over
Well, it's been a couple of years ago, but it didn't go back like it was supposed to.
Oh, so those points are still there?
I mean, so it's still lower, much lower than it was when I originally bought the car.
Yeah, a lot of those dealers, they will go to. That's like you know.
But I stopped and see. I actually got it financed through my credit union. I'm glad. What I did, my mistake, but I learned, it was a learning experience. I went to the credit union and got approved for a loan. But of course, the car dealer tells you, I can probably get you a better rate.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. And the reason why they're doing that is because they're trying to stay in house. Because they don't, just like you were just saying.
Yeah, I shouldn't have let them do that because I had already gotten it approved through my credit union.
Right.
And I should have just stayed with them and went ahead. And so, but when I get ready to get another one, I'll go back to the credit union and I'll know what, what I can do. Because I went to the credit union, I knew exactly how much I could get. And I went shopping for a car, and then when I found the car, I went to the credit union, got a check, and took it to them.
Right. There you go. That's what I like.
So,
quick and easy. Yeah, but they shouldn't have jacked your credit up like that.
But they did. It did.
Why?
I was like,
because they didn't give you the loan. You got the loan from your credit union.
Yeah. I'm like, oh wow. So it was, like I said, it was an experience, but I learned from it. But
that's a question. You just raised a question with me. Do they have soft and hard pulls for cars too, or is that only applied to houses?
Apparently it's hard.
It sounds like it's hard.
But apparently it's hard.
Yeah.
Apparently it's hard because, like I said, my score dropped almost 60 points, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah,
and it never went back up. I've built it up just because everything is paid on time. You know, all my stuff. Like I said, I really only have 4 things in my house: my car, my student loan, and my credit card. I have 1 credit card. That's why I was just asking you. You want 6 credit cards? I don't want 6 credit cards. I might get 1 more.
That's right.
But I got 4 things, and that's it.
Yeah, I got 1 credit card too, and I need to get another one. I got 1 MasterCard, but I need to get a Visa. I want to just have, because, and the reason why, and I taught my daughters that, have both, because some companies you go to don't have one or the other. So if you got both of them, you got everything covered just in case you need, you know.
So other than that, I won't worry about it. All I need to do now is make some money.
Yeah, I gotta make some money too. Because my biggest debt is my school bill, which is about $28,000.
Yeah, so you finish up.
No, and like when I asked that question, I was asking him my question because it's like I got $4,500 on my credit card and I owe about $4,500 on my car. So I'm like, which one do I want to pay? And I was thinking the same thing because, like the son was saying, see if I pay a credit card.
Yeah, you're in the house. You're not, unless you're buying another house.
No,
yeah, so you're good
about that. Yeah. But paying off the car frees up $400. So
right.
I think that's where I'm going first.
Yeah.
Because that does free up that additional cash.
So Matt did have your answer. Randy was thinking about the class. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
No.
That's Matt. Randy is the
Randy. No, Randy had the right question. It depends on what I want to do. But freeing up that $400 right now is better to me.
It's beneficial to you, right?
Than freeing up $100 on
you're not buying a
card.
house now.
No.
Which was what Randy was saying, just in case that was.
But see, I really want to get to the point that I don't owe anything. I mean,
amen.
You know,
but to love.
Amen. You know, I was quoting that. That's when I was quoting coming up here and saying, "Oh no, man, anything but love."
Amen.
I said, I want to be debt free. See, it depends on where your age is too. If you're young, you young folks, you got time. I don't want
girl, you're still in your 50s. 50s is the new 30s. You know that, right?
Yeah, right. So tell my 50-year-old children. Tell my 50-year-old children that. Because I look, I'm like, Dad, girl, you're getting old. That's what I tell my daughter all the time. Girl, you're getting old.
Yeah, but you doing good. You look good for your age. I mean, and you got good genes. Look at your mom. She's just trailblazing. Yeah. There was a lady in our church 2 Sundays ago, and we all stood up and honored her. It was her 110th birthday. She kicking tail.
That's awesome.
She's
That's
kicking tail.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, but I'm looking to be debt free.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at, and see, my interest rate is low
Mm-hmm.
enough so that, well, actually, because I have an adjustable rate, interest rate, but the payments, more of my payment is going to principal than it is to interest. So it don't make sense for me to refinance.
Right.
And start all over the interest.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
no. More than
You're
half
doing
of my
good.
payment is going toward principal.
Right. You're doing good. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm not trying to change it.
I don't blame you.
Because when I got her, the interest rates were moderate. And then everything bottomed out. And when it bottomed out, my interest rate went down.
Wow. That's good.
Like 3%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would only be beneficial to you if it dropped like maybe 2 or more points, right?
I'm at what? What am I? What's it at now? 3.
What did you get in at? Is that the same interest rate you had when you bought?
No, when I bought it, my interest rate was like 7.
Really? I remember when you bought
In
that.
2005.
Yeah.
It was like, oh no, it was a 6-something-7. It was 6-something-7.
I gotta say, because
7.
we bought our house in '92, and that's what we paid 7.5.
Yeah, but see, no, I bought my house in 2005.
Right. But that's interest rate is a half a point higher than what we paid in '92.
Yeah.
If you paid 7,
Yeah.
ooh, that's high.
Well, it wasn't high for them because
Right,
the interest
yeah.
rate was higher.
Yeah.
What was the interest rate when we were at Forest Home? It was like 8.
Yeah,
9.
roughly, yeah.
And I got a 6.
Yeah.
So it's 6 or 7. I can't remember now. I have to go back and look at
That
it.
sounds more like it. It would probably be more in the 6, under 7. Because we bought in '92 and it was 7.5. We was rushing to lock it.
And
Because it was an election year. And we were like, man, whoever gets in office, it's gonna go back up. When soon, I was like.
And then as soon as the market broke in 08, it went down to 3%.
Wow.
And stayed
They
down.
just changed it?
Yeah, it's an adjustable rate. So
Oh, you had an adjustable
Yeah,
rate.
I had an adjustable
Oh.
rate. So it went down, and it went down to
It
like
wasn't your
3%.
favor. Sometimes
what I'm
that
saying.
number goes up.
So it
Yeah.
literally cut my payment in half.
Right.
It cut my payment in half.
How long is your adjustable for? 3 years? 5 years?
No, it's going to remain. It remained adjustable until year 10.
And then it smooths out.
No, wait a minute. Still not sure. I'm trying to think. What is it? There's something about it. Oh, I know what it was. It was interest only for 5 years or something like that. Whatever it was, it's interest only for a period, and then it went to principal and interest.
Right.
So it's a principal and interest, but like I said, with the interest rate being so low,
Right.
my payment is more principal than it is interest.
So when it went to that 3.5, it stayed
When it was
at,
at
because
3,
it was
it
at
was-
that
it was-
5-year point.
Yeah, because it
Wow.
stayed down there at
Man,
3%, and so
blessing of the
now
Lord.
I think I'm at 3 3/4.
Wow.
Did anybody leave their cell phone in here?
I have not
haven't
seen or
seen it.
heard those.
Oh, I see it.
You see it?
It's on the floor.
Is yours?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, she always looking dapper.
Yeah, and she looks.
Pardon me.
Yes.
It was on the floor.
But like I said, I think I'm at 3 1/4 now. So see, I'm still below the market.
Yeah, that's good. Ooh.
And I'm paying more principal than interest, so it
You're
doesn't.
doing great.
It doesn't pay for me to refinance.
Right.
I can hold it where I got it. The only
Right.
reason I would look at it was if my rate went up, but it's gonna take a while because now he just said this morning talking about keeping it low.
Yeah.
So I'm in good shape.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in very good shape.
I'm in
Yeah,
good
because
shape.
they said last week, you heard last week they said the FHA was 3.75.
Mm-hmm.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
I got on the phone right away when I heard that rate.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
because I got some people sitting on the fence. I know that'll help them jump over quick, not to be sitting there waiting.
Right.
So,
So I'm in good shape on that. That's what I'm saying. So I want to just get to the point where I'm debt free.
amen.
And I do what I want to do. I want to run across the highway to get a go out the parking lot.
I'll walk with you out there.
No, I want to go to over to the mall and look at something real quick, and then come back because I got to meet her at 2. I gotta
Oh,
come
that's
back
right. Y'all
here at
meeting
2.
here. Oh.
Yeah, I got to come back here at 2. So I'm gonna go.
I can hang with you. I ain't doing nothing.
All right, come on. Let's go.
Go right in your
Yeah, let's get it done. I got to clear my throat.
big buddy. I can tackle this when I come back.
You gonna leave by it all here?
Yeah, that's cool. Don't take my laptop, man.
Is it nice?
He said, "Is it nice?"
So, and then I have to find her, who do you recommend? She has to buy a home
I'm coming to
warranty,
you.
Okay.
warranty for her house, for the new seller, the new
The
buyer.
new buyer, I mean, I've been an American Home Shield person, but all 4 of the ones that we have are reputable, and we have great sales agents that are
Okay, so
gonna
let me
take
give-
care of us.
I'll give her the 4 of those names.
Green sheet?
Hopefully it's correct.
I'll be shocked if it's not.
Yeah, right. $35.10. All right. Let me throw it on the big screen, or you want to read it off of here?
Just scooch a little, yep. I'm good, I've been sitting.
Okay. All right, so I can make it bigger.
Okay. Well, now, have you tried to submit?
No, I hadn't hit the button yet.
Okay, do you think this is good learning. Do
Okay.
you think you have finished?
Yes.
Okay. Submit to MCA, it will tell you.
So if I've done it correctly,
Yeah. Trust me. And then submit again, submit green sheet. Okay, so there was something,
commission type,
okay?
okay, and then is it gonna show me where I need to go? Would it be
Yeah.
right over here? For
Sure,
commission?
sure. Okay, it's this, you're getting 3% of that, so that, and then you have to put
Oh, well, actually, that works out pretty well, because that's what I was just doing on my calculator.
and then click to go back to that. If it will go in.
We already, well,
All right, just click in there. Oh, here we go. So did that,
3510, that's what I came up with, yep.
okay.
But I was able to manually put it in there just a second ago.
I don't think they're connected.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I think that's it.
I would
So you-
assume next session, that's almost like hitting submit, right?
No,
So-
that's just moving down the page, so try it again. There you go. That's as good as you can get because Elian hasn't gone in there, that's why it's partial.
Okay, and then I'll put, but didn't we print something last time and put it in the envelope, or didn't we?
Well, we made a photocopy. Oh, in the envelope? No, because you're gonna write on the front. Can you come with me?
Yep.
Oh, bring your check. Oh, my shoes are.
Oh, that's nothing, I had a pair of $30 on that thing. Got out to the car.
Oh, my word.
How are you? Good. Sorry, I was teaching a class. Oh, that's all right. I was teaching a class on credit. Yeah. What's up? What's going on? Oh. Where is this house? Wow. Okay. All right. Right. If everything's just better, then yeah, absolutely. No, not right this second. No, no. I mean, I'm happy if you want me to up the sellers.
Well, not really a question. I just want to make sure that I've dotted my I's and crossed my T's.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you told me to do the important dates.
Yes.
So I kind of went through that. All right, I got a closing date here.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Keller Williams from Atlanta
Mhm.
Perimeter, and that's what the check is made out to.
Mm-hmm.
Gannick.
Okay.
50.
You want to say Gannick PC, Perimeter North office, or Ashford office. Any closing attorney that's got multiple locations,
Right.
it's just rude to the other side to not tell them which office it's at.
Okay.
So-
Well, do I need to change it?
No.
Okay. So but in the
the
I would say
future.
Ashford Dunwoody or Ashford Green or whatever. Okay. $1,500,
Mm-hmm.
3 days.
Mhm.
Now, since they signed it on Saturday, remember I called you on Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
That's weekend.
Yeah, the same. Those days are still days.
So does Saturday count as day one?
Nope. Day one is always the day after binding
Sunday,
agreement day.
Monday, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm depositing it today, so everything's cool.
Right.
Okay, got it. All right, due diligence is 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
have-
so it started Sunday.
Okay, the day after. All right, so I've got inspection is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's right. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So inspection is tomorrow. Then now I made a note because when y'all talking this morning about calling the lender
Mm-hmm.
and finding out when has he scheduled an appraisal.
Well, they wait to hear from you, either their client or the agent, and typically that because when they order the appraisal, your client has to pay money.
Is that part of the closing cost?
It is the way they do it is you pay it when you order the appraisal.
So is you.
The client they have to go online and put their credit card in and pay for the appraisal because that appraiser wants to be paid, or the company they work for.
Okay.
Then on the closing statement, you will see that the appraisal fee is a closing cost and they'll get a credit because they've already paid for it.
Okay.
So it's kind of a wash.
So in here it says that the seller is going to pay up to $4,500 of closing costs.
Right?
So does that mean my buyer still has to pay for the appraisal?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Initially.
all right. Now, this whole document I scanned in and sent to the loan officer on Sunday.
Perfect. Just what I wanted
So
you to do.
is that notice that it's time for an appraisal?
No. I didn't finish my story. I got sidetracked on the appraisal part, on the paying for it. When you're buying a house, the only thing you have to come out of pocket for prior to closing is the inspection and the appraisal,
Okay.
unless you do extra inspections.
Okay.
And because of that, the lender's not going to go spend that client's money until they tell them to. So usually we do the inspection and just make sure you're going to go forward. Because if you're going to terminate, why do you want to pay for an appraisal?
Makes sense. Yeah.
So do the inspection, and at least you may not have negotiated everything, but at least you're not going to terminate. One of you guys call the lender, order the appraisal.
Okay.
They're waiting for that.
Okay. Well, I need to put that
And
on
it's
my
because
calendar.
of the commitment to. Okay, do you have your dot book up?
If I don't, I'll have it very quickly. Let's see. I shouldn't have. Let's go.
And I want you to go into this loop. Okay. I want you to
I
read.
know. I'll change all of it.
Okay. This is at the bottom, tasks. When I was referring to, Diane has this thing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now,
So you didn't have to add the document. It's a task. You got.
oh, he asked for a list, yeah. It's
So
a,
it's not-
right, I didn't get, because Brad would have gotten confused.
Okay.
I'm gonna send out an email explaining to everybody how to do this.
Okay.
So,
Oh.
you need to know.
Oh, we'll do a video on it.
Okay.
Maybe a perfect example.
Maybe, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you. When Diane wrote this, she made it whether you're the listing agent or the selling agent.
Okay.
So I just wrote a contract, went under contract yesterday. So and I'm the buyer's agent. So what I did is, because this is not gonna apply to me, I went ahead and you check it when it's complete.
Okay.
So there was another, basically, so if you go through this sequentially, you won't skip anything.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Is it, are
Well,
you reading?
Check, check,
Mm-hmm.
check, check,
Mm-hmm.
check. I think I've completed it.
Okay, well, for all intents, now have you put it in your calendar? And mine is not checked because I haven't.
Okay, all right.
All right, let me look at this real quick.
All right.
This was Saturday?
That was Saturday.
Okay. And why did you put that?
Because I assumed
Mhm.
that I would have done it yesterday, but I didn't come in here yesterday.
Okay, but it's not looking for the date you did it. It's looking for the
Due date?
due date, which would have been the 2nd.
Correct. Okay.
So,
Okay. It's done, but
Mhm.
but it's good to know.
Right.
This
So
isn't
this
going-
is supposed to be.
Well, let me do this. Since it's not going anywhere, we'll just I'll have it for future reference.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you put the
And then I put, oh, it's not additional earnest money, so.
nope. Now, so this, you said it was 7?
7 days, I'm pretty sure that's correct, from the 30th to the 6th is 7 days.
Yeah, yep, that's, excuse me. So yeah, that, this, okay.
Well,
Are you not having an appraisal?
An appraisal contingency, there's no contingency
Well,
in the document.
is this cash?
Nope.
So, okay. Bring up your finance contingency exhibit.
This one right here.
Mm-hmm. Go to item 11, it should be on the 2nd page.
Okay, so I do have an appraisal contingency.
Right. So
You know what? This is exactly what I was looking for when I was pulling this up. I'm like, where the hell? I know it's in here. And I looked all over this thing and I couldn't find it. I said, I know it's in here.
Because it's not in the purchase and sale, it's in the finance.
That's why I got all these circles. Remember I told you I got questions that can wait until Monday? So,
Yep.
or Tuesday?
The
So,
finance and appraisal
I'm
contingencies
just gonna put-
come from your financing contingency
all right,
exhibit.
so I'm gonna put 21 days of question mark, so I'll do the math right. Actually, you know what I did the math? You know, in Google you can say today plus 21.
There is, or Larry Moore told me about an app,
You know,
and
you
it
can-
wasn't a Google, but show me in Google.
Just wrote it in up here, right?
Mhm.
21 days from today is April 23rd.
Okay. You're going to have to show me this again. But that's fabulous.
So instead of writing Exxon.com, today plus 21 days.
Mm-hmm.
21 days from today is April 23rd.
Mm-hmm. So it's Envoy. You know, I'll have to look and see if that's the.
No, you don't worry about the website.
I know.
Right.
I heard you. But I was trying to see if it was the same one she told me about. Because she gave me the site
Yeah.
rather than just
Most
Googling it.
most of this stuff, any conversion you want to do,
Mhm.
you just type in a conversion up there and poof, it'll tell you all that kind of stuff. But anyway, all
Okay.
right, so we might as well do April 23rd.
So what did you have for your financing? I just
Let
to see.
me just kill this page. Let me get real estate back. So
That was first page. Go back to the. There you go. Up. It's bottom of the first page. See 21. So I don't understand how you got this.
well, I probably did it from the other day. Let's see, financial contingency, that's 29th. I just typed it in incorrectly. So finance and contingency would have been the 30th plus 21 would have been like the 19th, correct?
Wait.
from contract date.
Aren't they, okay, 21,
And the other one's
government,
21 also.
right.
But, I just did, what'd you say? Section
Number 11.
Yeah, well, when I wrote that in was Saturday. So I would have gone today plus 21, and it would not have been the 29th. It would have been, that was on the 30th.
Yeah, but why isn't it just the same as this?
Well, because this is, I typed it in on Saturday, not today.
Okay. We don't want to do today plus 21.
Oh, okay.
Even on this.
It's contract day.
Right. Binding agreement date, your BAD.
Correct.
So you want to say May 30th plus 21.
Correct.
You want to do it?
Yeah, let's see what happens. May 30th plus 21 days. Let's see what happens. So 21 days from May 30th.
Wait a minute. It was March 30th. I misspoke. It was March 30th.
That's not what you said, it's what you meant.
Oh, okay.
So 21 days from March 30th, 2016, unless it was late, and you know what? Unless there was a 2016 or 17 or 18, that could have been a leap year in there.
Yeah, but that would have been February. So it shouldn't screw up our...
You're right. So let's go convert those units in
April 20th, which makes sense.
April 20th, okay. April 20th, yeah, because we're 3 days from, that's correct. So this would have been April 20th. Okay. Now.
Perfect, and then.
All right, well, additional option money is 0, so I'm gonna 0 that out, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really NA because it's not dollars, we're looking for dates.
Okay.
Dates
this is simply for
okay.
Okay. Okay. If there was additional unearned money due, then I would put the date. All of these are dates.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. Source of funds.
Only if it's all cash, and it would be. Have you ever looked at the all cash exhibit?
I'm sure I have.
On there, you state when you're going to give evidence of your source of funds.
Right. I sold my stock. Okay. I need to have it 4 days before, whatever.
Right. You commit to a date in that document, and so this is the date that you committed to cough up.
So even though
it's really proof of funds.
Okay. So since it's a mortgage, then
no, it's only in all cash. So that's an NA.
All right. Well, I'm just going to put all cash just for
only. Yeah.
Deadline for documents to lender.
That it doesn't. We never use that.
Okay. Closing, possession, other.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Copies to Pete, Kelsey, phone.
Right. But I also like to put. Does this guy have an email address?
He does.
Because you're going to send this to all of these people. So it's just
this document.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. You are driving this train by providing this document, and it's heads up, folks. These are the dates. Everybody, put them on your calendar. You want to drive this train.
Okay.
You want to be in charge. So add his email address.
I put all this into .loop already. So will it automatically pull from .loop into this thing? I don't think
Okay, I have to look and see. As you can see, this is like asking for a mailing address.
Correct.
We don't do that anymore. And there's not a field for email address. I think that I have mapped it to actually put the email address here, but I double check.
Okay.
And what you want over here is the email. I may have told you this already. Ashford pre-closing at organicpc.com. Then it goes to a pool of people that are all pre-closers, and they assign and you would also, of course, send a copy of the binding agreement to that same address,
Right.
email address.
Yeah, I think I have that on my to-do list, but I just want to make sure I had everything done before I actually did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I mean, you could put the main number of Gannett,
Okay.
but
Okay.
you don't have, that's.
Okay.
So now, if anybody that's, because you four are the players in the paperwork, you know, to get this to the closing table, and any of y'all could have questions for one of them, and it's just a courtesy. And once you start doing this, and you make this your standard, Pete, that you always do this and you give complete information, you be developing a reputation of, wow. I mean, I get comments all the time. You turn in the most complete contracts, listing agent, the cleanest contracts. I mean,
Okay.
and then they want to do business with you.
Wouldn't it be logical that the buyer should also be on here somewhere?
I see what you mean. I send this to my buyers.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know why.
Okay. But you send this via .loop as an attachment email?
I have gone both ways.
Okay.
If I already know that I know that the Gannett people do .loop, but not every closing attorney does.
Right.
I'm dealing with one where she's not Keller Williams, the listing agent, and she's like, "Oh, please send it PDF."
Right.
So.
Well, yeah. I mean, all I did or do or have done is go in here and simply go check, and then I say share. But when I say share, I say attach PDF. And then,
I haven't done that. I see that all, and I just hadn't.
Paul and Sandra and Kelsey, and when I hit share, it just sends it all as PDF. And they're not involved.
And I probably knew that 4 years ago, and then just forgotten over time.
And that way, they don't have to be in .loop. It just goes bloop, and it attaches it. And
Perfect.
Done.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'm just going to uncheck those because I
yes.
have no idea what I just checked.